Welcome to Darkowl Horror, where the darkness comes alive. Tonight we bring you 10 terrifying tales from around the world, each one more chilling than the last. But we want to hear from you. Share your own scary stories in the comments below. Have you ever experienced something that can't be explained? Let us know, and we might feature your story in our next video. Stay tuned for a night of horror beyond your wildest nightmares. Skinwalker Stalkers. In the vast expanse of the Navajo Nation, where the desert sun dips into the horizon and paints the sky with hues of crimson and gold, a sense of unease settled over the small community of Tuba City, Arizona. The Navajo Reservation, the largest in the United States, stretched across parts of Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico, a land of breathtaking beauty and deep cultural heritage. However, the tranquility of this land was disrupted by a series of bizarre occurrences, livestock mutilations that seemed to defy explanation. Officer Maya Tsosi, a young and ambitious Navajo police officer, was tasked with investigating these strange events. Maya was well respected in her community for her intelligence and determination. She had always been fascinated by the stories of her ancestors, the legends that wove together the fabric of Navajo culture. Among these stories was the legend of the Skinwalker, a shape-shifting witch feared throughout the Navajo Nation for its malevolent powers. In Navajo folklore, the Skinwalker, or Yara-ma-yha-who, was a type of witch who had gained the ability to transform into animals or possess them. These witches were often former healers who had turned to dark magic, using their powers for evil. The legend of the Skinwalker was deeply rooted in Navajo tradition, a cautionary tale about the dangers of corruption and the misuse of power. Maya had always been skeptical of these stories, viewing them as mere myths. However, as she delved deeper into the case, she began to suspect that the mutilations might be more than just the work of wild animals or human pranksters. The precision and brutality of the attacks seemed almost deliberate. Maya started her investigation by speaking with local farmers and ranchers, gathering information about the mutilations. The stories were consistent. Animals found dead with strange markings, their bodies mutilated in ways that seemed impossible for any natural predator. As she listened to the accounts, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something supernatural was at play. She turned to her grandmother, a respected elder in the community, for guidance. Her grandmother shared stories of the Skinwalker, warning Maya about the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human understanding. But Maya was determined to uncover the truth, even if it meant facing her own fears. As Maya dug deeper, she uncovered dark secrets within her community. It seemed that some individuals had been practicing forbidden rituals, seeking power and control through dark magic. These practices were taboo, hidden from the rest of the community, but they were linked to the legend of the Skinwalker. Maya realized that the mutilations were not just random acts of violence, but were connected to a larger, more sinister plot. She began to suspect that a Skinwalker was indeed involved, using its powers to terrorize the community and cover its tracks. One night, as Maya patrolled the outskirts of Tuba City, she saw it, a figure that seemed to shift and change before her eyes. It was a coyote one moment, a man the next, its form blurring and reforming with an unnatural ease. Maya knew then that she was face to face with a Skinwalker. The encounter was terrifying. The Skinwalker seemed to toy with her, assuming different forms and voices, trying to confuse and intimidate her. But Maya stood her ground, drawing on her knowledge of Navajo traditions and the stories of her ancestors. Maya remembered the words of her grandmother, that to defeat a Skinwalker, one must pronounce its true name. But how could she discover the name of this evil entity? She turned to the elders of her community, seeking their wisdom and guidance. Together, they performed a ritual to uncover the Skinwalker's identity. The ritual was ancient, passed down through generations of Navajo spiritual leaders. As they chanted and prayed, the air seemed to thicken, and the presence of the Skinwalker grew stronger. Suddenly, a name was revealed to Maya, a name that had been hidden for years, known only to a select few. With the name spoken aloud, the skinwalker let out a deafening scream, its form dissolving into nothingness as it was banished from the community. The community breathed a collective sigh of relief as the mutilations ceased. Maya had faced her fears and saved her people from the terror of the skinwalker. But the experience had also left her changed, more aware of the mysteries and dangers that lay just beyond the edge of everyday life. As she looked out over the vast expanse of the Navajo Nation, Maya felt a sense of pride and responsibility. She had protected her community, preserving the balance between the natural and supernatural worlds. The legend of the skinwalker would continue to be told, a reminder of the dangers of corruption and the importance of respecting the traditions of their ancestors. Maya's journey had taught her that sometimes the most enduring legends are rooted in truth. The skinwalker, once a figure of myth and terror, had become a symbol of the community's resilience and their connection to their cultural heritage. As she walked through the desert, the sun setting behind her, Maya felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that she would always stand as a guardian of her community, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Years passed, and Maya became a respected figure in the Navajo Nation, known for her bravery and wisdom. She continued to serve as a police officer, using her knowledge of Navajo traditions to protect her community from both human and supernatural threats. The legend of the skinwalker remained a part of their folklore, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, but it was also a testament to the strength and resilience of the Navajo people, who had faced countless challenges and emerged stronger each time. In the end, Maya's story became a part of Navajo legend, a tale of courage and determination in the face of the unknown. The skinwalker, once a feared entity, had become a symbol of the community's ability to confront and overcome even the most terrifying of foes. The Aswang's shadow. In the vibrant Filipino neighborhood of Los Angeles, the scent of adobo and lechon filled the air, and the sound of OPM music drifted from every window. A sense of unease settled over the Santos family. They had always been proud of their heritage, celebrating Filipino traditions and sharing stories of their ancestors. However, a series of inexplicable events began to unsettle them. Doors would slam shut on their own, and strange noises echoed through the night. It was as if something was watching them, lurking in the shadows. The family suspected that they were being haunted by an aswang, a shape-shifting monster from Filipino folklore known for its ability to transform into various forms, such as a bat, pig, or black dog. The aswang was feared throughout the Philippines for its insatiable hunger for human flesh, particularly that of pregnant women and children. In Philippine folklore, the aswang was a creature of terror, embodying fear and fascination with its shape-shifting abilities and insatiable hunger for human flesh. It was said to roam the night, preying on the unsuspecting and leaving behind a trail of terror. The legend of the aswang had been passed down through generations, serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of the night and the importance of respecting tradition. As the strange occurrences continued, the Santos family grew more desperate. They tried everything to rid themselves of the haunting, from using garlic to ward off evil spirits to performing rituals to cleanse their home. But nothing seemed to work. It was then that they decided to seek help from a relative visiting from the Philippines, Lola Rosa. Lola Rosa was a respected elder in their family, known for her deep understanding of Filipino folklore and traditions. She had lived in the rural provinces of the Philippines, where stories of the aswang were common. As she listened to the family's tales, she revealed a shocking truth. The aswang had been following their family for generations. According to Lola Rosa, the curse had begun many years ago, when an ancestor had unknowingly offended the aswang. Since then, the creature had been a constant presence in their lives, haunting them from afar. Lola Rosa explained that the aswang was not just a mindless monster. It was a guardian of sorts, ensuring that the family remembered their cultural roots and respected the traditions of their ancestors. However, the aswang's presence had become malevolent over time, fueled by the family's neglect of their heritage. It was now a reminder of their forgotten past, a shadow that haunted them until they acknowledged and honored their roots. Determined to end the curse, the Santos family and Lola Rosa worked together to reconnect with their Filipino heritage. They began to celebrate traditional festivals, cook traditional meals, and share stories of their ancestors. They also performed rituals to appease the aswang, using sacred objects and prayers to calm its malevolent spirit. As they delved deeper into their cultural roots, the family noticed a change. The strange occurrences began to cease, and the presence of the aswang grew weaker. It was as if the creature was slowly losing its hold on them, its power diminishing as they rediscovered their connection to their heritage. One night, as the family gathered around Lola Rosa, they decided to face the aswang once and for all. They lit candles, said prayers, and used sacred charms to protect themselves. As they waited, the air grew thick with anticipation, and the shadows seemed to move of their own accord. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was the aswang, its form shifting and morphing before their eyes. But instead of attacking, it spoke to them in a voice that was both familiar and yet utterly alien. It told them that it had been a guardian, a reminder of their forgotten past, but now it was time for it to leave. With a final glance, the aswang vanished into the night, its presence gone from their lives forever. The Santos family breathed a collective sigh of relief, knowing that they had finally broken the curse. In the aftermath, the Santos family realized that the legend of the aswang was not just a myth. It was a part of their cultural identity. It was a reminder of the importance of respecting their heritage and honoring their ancestors. Lola Rosa's visit had not only saved them from the curse, but had also reminded them of the power of tradition and community. The story of the aswang became a part of their family's history, a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the fear of the unknown. As the family looked back on their ordeal, they realized that the aswang's presence had been a blessing in disguise. It had forced them to reconnect with their roots, to remember the stories of their ancestors and the traditions that had been passed down through generations. The experience had also taught them about the importance of respecting their cultural heritage. They had learned that sometimes the most enduring legends are rooted in truth and that the past can shape the present in unexpected ways. Years passed, and the Santos family continued to thrive. They remained proud of their Filipino heritage, celebrating their traditions and sharing stories of their ancestors. The legend of the aswang lived on, a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows and the importance of respecting the past. As they looked to the future, they knew that they would always carry the lessons of the aswang with them. They had faced their fears and emerged stronger, their bond as a family strengthened by the ordeal they had faced together. In the end, the story of the aswang's shadow became a part of their family's legacy, a testament to the power of tradition and community. And though the creature was gone, its legacy lived on, a reminder of the enduring power of folklore and the fear of the unknown. The Banshee's Wail. In the heart of Boston, nestled among the historic neighborhoods, lay a small Irish-American community that had preserved its heritage with pride. The streets were lined with Irish pubs, cultural centers, and homes adorned with Celtic symbols, reflecting the strong ties to their ancestral homeland. However, a sense of unease settled over the community as residents began to hear a mournful wail at night. The sound was haunting, a high-pitched cry that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. At first, people dismissed the wails as the howling of wind or the distant sirens of emergency vehicles. But as the nights passed, the wails grew louder and more frequent. It was then that the community realized that each time the wail was heard, a member of their community would suddenly pass away. The deaths were unexpected, leaving behind grieving families and unanswered questions. The community was gripped by fear and confusion. They had always been a tight-knit group, supporting each other through thick and thin, but now they felt powerless against the mysterious force that seemed to be claiming their loved ones. The local church held vigils and prayers, hoping to find solace in their faith, but the wails continued, a constant reminder of the darkness that had descended upon them. Among the residents was an elderly woman named Maeve. She had immigrated to Boston from Ireland decades ago and had always kept her cultural roots alive. Maeve recognized the wail as the cry of a banshee, a spirit from Irish folklore known for warning of impending death. According to legend, a banshee's scream was a harbinger of doom, signaling that someone in the family was about to pass away. Maeve knew that she had to act quickly. She believed that the banshee's wail was not just a warning, but a curse that needed to be broken. She began to research ways to appease the spirit, hoping to spare her loved ones from its ominous call. Maeve spent long hours poring over old books and speaking with local experts in Irish folklore, seeking any clue that might help her understand and counter the curse. In Irish folklore, the banshee was often depicted as a female spirit attached to specific families, warning them of impending death with her haunting cry. The name Banshee came from the Irish phrase Bean Sida, meaning fairy woman. These spirits were believed to be remnants of the Tuatha Dé Danann, ancient gods who had been driven underground by invading forces. Maeve remembered stories from her childhood about the banshee's role in Irish mythology. She recalled how the spirit would appear near graveyards, fairy rings, or ancient ruins, its wail echoing through the night as a warning of death. The banshee was not malevolent, it was a guardian, ensuring that the deceased passed safely to the other side. According to legend, the banshee's appearance was a sign of respect and loyalty to the family it watched over. However, in this case, the wail seemed to be a curse, claiming lives without warning or mercy. Maeve was determined to find out why the banshee had turned against them and how she could restore balance. Determined to break the curse, Maeve turned to the Irish Pastoral Center in Boston for help. The center, a hub for Irish immigrants and Irish Americans, offered spiritual guidance and community support. Maeve hoped that their knowledge of Irish traditions and folklore might hold the key to appeasing the banshee. With the help of Father O'Connor from the center, Maeve organized a ritual to honor the banshee and calm its spirit. They gathered at the local church, where Maeve shared stories of the banshee's significance in Irish folklore. The community came together, praying and singing traditional Irish hymns, hoping to soothe the spirit and end the curse. The ritual was a poignant reminder of the community's heritage and their connection to Ireland. As they sang and prayed, they felt a sense of unity and purpose, determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Maeve, with her deep understanding of Irish traditions, led the way, guiding her community through the darkest of times. As the ritual progressed, the wails grew louder, more insistent. It was as if the banshee was resisting their efforts, unwilling to let go of its role as a harbinger of death. Maeve, undeterred, stepped forward and began to sing a traditional Irish lament, her voice weaving a spell of peace and tranquility. The banshee's wail slowly faded, replaced by an eerie silence. The community held its breath, waiting to see if their efforts had been successful. Days passed, and no more deaths occurred. The curse seemed to have been broken, and the banshee's wail was heard no more. In the aftermath, the community came together to honor Maeve's bravery and wisdom. They realized that their heritage was not just a collection of stories, but a living tradition that could offer guidance and protection in times of need. Maeve's actions had not only saved her community, but had also reminded them of the importance of their cultural roots. The legend of the Banshee lived on, a reminder of the mysteries and powers that lay beyond the mundane world. As for Maeve, she continued to share her knowledge of Irish folklore, ensuring that the stories of her ancestors would never be forgotten. And though the Banshee's wail was never heard again, its legacy remained, a testament to the enduring power of tradition and community. The community began to flourish once more, their bonds strengthened by the ordeal they had faced together. They celebrated their heritage with renewed vigor, hosting festivals and cultural events that brought them closer to their Irish roots. Maeve became a respected figure in the community, not just for her role in breaking the curse, but for her dedication to preserving their cultural heritage. She continued to teach the younger generations about the legends and traditions of Ireland, ensuring that their history would never be lost. As Maeve looked back on the events that had transpired, she realized that the Banshee's wail had been more than just a harbinger of death. It had been a call to reconnect with their past. The experience had reminded them of the importance of tradition and community, values that had been passed down through generations. The Banshee, once a feared entity, had become a symbol of their resilience and their connection to their Irish heritage. Maeve knew that she had played a small part in preserving this heritage, and she felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. Years passed, and the community continued to thrive. The legend of the Banshee remained a part of their folklore, a reminder of the mysterious forces that lay beyond their understanding. Maeve's story was told and retold, inspiring future generations to respect and honor their cultural roots. As for Maeve, she lived out her days surrounded by the community she had saved. She remained a guardian of their heritage, ensuring that the stories of old would never fade away. And though the Banshee's wail was never heard again, its legacy lived on, a testament to the power of tradition and the unbreakable bonds of community. In the end, Maeve's journey had taught her that sometimes the most powerful weapons against darkness are not fear or avoidance, but understanding and respect. The Banshee, once a harbinger of doom, had become a symbol of the community's resilience and their connection to their Irish heritage. The story of the Banshee's wail would be remembered for generations to come, a reminder of the enduring power of tradition and community. The Black Annis awakens. On the outskirts of Leicester, England, where the rolling hills meet the remnants of ancient forests, a sense of tranquility had long been a hallmark of the community. However, this peace was disrupted when construction workers began demolishing an old forest to make way for a new development. The project was met with resistance from local residents, who feared the loss of their natural heritage. But no one could have anticipated the horror that lay hidden beneath the earth. As the bulldozers tore through the forest, they stumbled upon a hidden cave, long buried beneath the roots of an ancient oak. The cave was known as Black Annis's Bower, a place of dark legend in local folklore. Black Annis, a child-eating hag, was said to reside within its depths, preying on unsuspecting children and livestock. Her legend had been passed down through generations, a cautionary tale used to keep children from wandering too far into the woods. Black Annis was a figure of terror in English folklore, depicted as a blue-skinned hag with iron claws and a taste for human flesh, particularly that of children. She was said to haunt the countryside of Leicestershire, living in a cave carved out with her own hands. At night, she would venture out, her howls and screeches echoing through the woods as she searched for her next victim. The legend of Black Annis was deeply rooted in the community's psyche, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. Parents would often use her story to discipline their children, warning them that Black Annis would snatch them away if they misbehaved. The tale was so ingrained that even adults whispered about it in hushed tones, as if speaking too loudly might summon the hag herself. As the construction workers explored the cave, they found evidence of an ancient lair, with strange markings and artifacts that seemed to belong to another era. Unbeknownst to them, they had disturbed a long-dormant evil, awakening Black Annis from her slumber. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But as the days passed, children began to disappear from the surrounding villages. The police were baffled, unable to find any leads or suspects. It was then that a local historian, Dr. Emma Taylor, stepped forward to investigate. Emma had always been fascinated by the legends of Black Annis and saw this as an opportunity to uncover the truth behind the myth. Emma delved deep into the history of Black Annis, studying old texts and speaking with local residents who had heard the stories from their grandparents. She discovered that the cave was not just a myth, but a real place, hidden away for centuries. As she explored the cave, she found signs of recent occupation, strange symbols etched into the walls, and the remnants of what seemed to be a dark ritual. Emma realized that Black Annis was not just a legend. She was a real entity, awakened by the disturbance of her lair. The disappearances were not random, they were connected to the hag's insatiable hunger for children. Emma knew that she had to act quickly to save the children and restore peace to the community. Determined to save the children, Emma prepared herself for a confrontation with Black Annis. She gathered protective charms and herbs, hoping to ward off the hag's powers. As night fell, Emma entered the cave, her heart pounding with anticipation. Inside, she found Black Annis waiting for her. The hag was as terrifying as the legends described, blue-skinned with iron claws and a presence that seemed to fill the entire cave. Emma stood her ground, using her knowledge of folklore to weaken the hag's powers. Black Annis was cunning, using her magic to manipulate Emma's perceptions. But Emma was prepared, having studied the hag's weaknesses. She used the protective charms to deflect Black Annis's spells, slowly gaining the upper hand. As the battle between Emma and Black Annis reached its climax, the hag unleashed her full fury. She summoned all her strength, attempting to overwhelm Emma with her sheer power. But Emma was not alone. She had the support of the community, who had come to realize that their children's lives were at stake. Together, they managed to subdue Black Annis, using ancient rituals to bind her powers and trap her once more in her cave. The children were found safe, though traumatized by their ordeal. The community breathed a collective sigh of relief as the terror of Black Annis was finally laid to rest. In the aftermath, the legend of Black Annis became more than just a cautionary tale. It was a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows. The community came together, ensuring that the cave was sealed forever, preventing any future disturbances. Emma's bravery had saved the children, but it had also reminded her of the importance of respecting the past. She continued to study the legends of Black Annis, ensuring that the story would never be forgotten. And though the hag was trapped once more, her legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the fear of the unknown. As Emma looked back on the events that had transpired, she realized that the legend of Black Annis was not just a story, but a part of their cultural heritage. It was a reminder of the importance of tradition and the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human understanding. The experience had also taught Emma about the resilience of her community. Despite the terror they faced, they had come together to support each other, using their collective strength to overcome the evil that had threatened them. Years passed, and Emma became a respected figure in the community, known for her bravery and wisdom. She continued to study the legends of Black Annis, ensuring that the story would never be forgotten. The cave, once a place of terror, was now a symbol of the community's resilience and their ability to face even the most terrifying of foes. The legend of Black Annis remained a part of local folklore, a reminder of the horrors that could be unleashed when the past is disturbed. But it was also a testament to the power of community and tradition, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. As the years went by, the story of Black Annis was told and retold, a cautionary tale about the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human control. But it was also a story of courage and determination, a reminder that even the most terrifying of evils can be defeated with bravery and wisdom. In the end, the story of Black Annis became a part of local legend, a reminder of the enduring power of folklore and the fear of the unknown. The cave, once a place of terror, was now a symbol of the community's ability to confront and overcome even the most terrifying of foes. And though Black Annis was trapped once more, her legacy lived on, a testament to the importance of respecting the past and the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows. The Chupacabra experiment. In the rural town of Red Rock, Texas, where the vast plains stretch as far as the eye can see, a sense of unease settled over the community. Farmers began reporting a series of bizarre incidents: livestock found dead, their bodies drained of blood with no signs of struggle or predation. The news spread quickly, and soon whispers of the Chupacabra, a legendary creature from Latin American folklore, filled the air. The Chupacabra, known as the goat sucker, was said to attack and drink the blood of livestock, leaving behind carcasses that were eerily untouched except for the puncture wounds. The legend had originated in Puerto Rico in the 1990s and had since spread throughout the Americas, captivating the imagination of many with its terrifying tales of blood-drained animals. Journalist Sarah Jenkins, known for her investigative reporting, decided to delve into the mystery. She had always been fascinated by the stories of the chupacabra, but she was determined to find a rational explanation for the strange occurrences in Red Rock. As Sarah began her investigation, she spoke with local farmers and residents, gathering stories and descriptions of the creature. The accounts varied, with some describing a reptilian, alien-like creature, while others spoke of a dog-like beast with glowing red eyes. Despite the inconsistencies, one thing was clear: the livestock were being killed in a manner that seemed almost unnatural. Sarah's research led her to a biotech company operating off skirts of Red Rock. The company, known as Genesis Biotech, was conducting genetic experiments aimed at creating new breeds of livestock with enhanced resistance to disease. However, rumors had circulated about the company's more secretive projects involving genetic manipulation of wild animals. Sarah decided to investigate Genesis Biotech further, suspecting that their experiments might be connected to the strange occurrences. She managed to secure an interview with Dr. Elliot Thompson, the company's lead researcher. Dr. Thompson was evasive about the specifics of their research, but Sarah noticed a hint of unease in his demeanor. She pressed on, asking about any potential risks or unintended consequences of their experiments. It was then that Dr. Thompson revealed a shocking truth. One of their projects had involved manipulating the genetic code of coyotes to enhance their adaptability and survival skills. However, something had gone terribly wrong. One of the test subjects had escaped, and the company had lost track of it. Sarah realized that this could be the key to understanding the chupacabra sightings. Had Genesis Biotech inadvertently created a creature that was now terrorizing the local livestock? Sarah's investigation led her to a hidden facility deep in the woods, where she discovered evidence of the escaped creature. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, a mix of coyote and reptilian features, with glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. The creature was aggressive, attacking Sarah as soon as it sensed her presence. She barely escaped with her life, but she had seen enough to confirm her suspicions. The chupacabra was not a myth. It was a product of genetic experimentation gone wrong. Armed with her findings, Sarah confronted Dr. Thompson and the management of Genesis Biotech. They admitted to the experiment, claiming that they had never intended for the creature to escape. However, they had been aware of the risks and had chosen to keep the project secret to avoid public backlash. The community was outraged when the truth came to light. Genesis Biotech faced severe backlash, with calls for the company to be shut down and its executives held accountable. The creature, now confirmed to be a genetically modified animal, was captured and taken into custody by wildlife authorities. The incident in Red Rock became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked scientific experimentation. The legend of the chupacabra, once a mere myth, had become a reality, a reminder of the unpredictable consequences of playing with nature. Sarah's investigation had not only uncovered the truth behind the strange occurrences, but had also highlighted the importance of transparency and accountability in scientific research. The story of the chupacabra experiment would be remembered for years to come, a testament to the power of journalism in exposing the truth and protecting the public interest. As Sarah looked back on the events that had transpired, she realized that the legend of the chupacabra had been more than just a myth. It had been a warning. The creature, though created by human error, had become a symbol of the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human control. The experience had also taught Sarah about the resilience of her community. Despite the terror they faced, they had come together to demand justice and ensure that such experiments would never happen again. Years passed, and the town of Red Rock slowly returned to normal. The legend of the chupacabra remained, but it was no longer a source of fear. It was a reminder of the importance of responsible scientific inquiry and community vigilance. Sarah continued to work as a journalist, using her platform to expose similar cases of scientific misconduct. Her story had become a part of local legend, a testament to the power of investigative reporting in uncovering the truth and protecting the public. In the end, the Chupacabra experiment became a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked scientific ambition. The creature, once a myth, had become a reality, a reminder of the unpredictable consequences of playing with nature. And though the legend of the Chupacabra would live on, it would serve as a warning, ensuring that such experiments would never be repeated. The Djinn's Revenge. In the heart of the Saudi Arabian desert, where the sun dipped into the dunes and painted the sky with hues of gold and crimson, lay a small desert town known for its ancient ruins and mysterious artifacts. Dr. Amira Al-Khatib, a renowned archaeologist, had spent her career uncovering the secrets of this land. Her latest discovery, an ancient artifact buried deep within a long-abandoned temple, would change everything. As Amira touched the artifact, she felt a sudden surge of energy. The air around her seemed to thicken, and a figure began to take shape before her eyes. It was a Djinn, a malevolent spirit from Middle Eastern folklore known for its power to grant wishes. However, the Djinn's true nature was far more complex and sinister than the tales of wish-granting genies that had captivated the imagination of the West. In pre-Islamic Arabia, the Djinn were believed to be supernatural beings that inhabited the deserts and mountains, often associated with nature and the wild. They were seen as powerful entities capable of good or evil, and were sometimes revered as lesser gods. The Djinn were known to be shapeshifters, able to take on various forms, from human-like figures to terrifying beasts. The legend of the Djinn had evolved over time, influenced by Islamic teachings and Middle Eastern folklore. They were often depicted as mischievous spirits, capable of granting wishes, but with a penchant for twisting them into nightmares. The Djinn were feared and respected, with many believing that they could be controlled through magic and rituals. The Djinn that Amira had released was unlike any she had heard of. It offered to grant her wishes, but with a warning: be careful what you wish for. Amira, driven by ambition and curiosity, decided to test the Djinn's powers. She wished for wealth and fame, hoping to secure her place as one of the most renowned archaeologists in the world. However, the Djinn twisted her wish, turning her newfound wealth into a curse. Her fame was built on controversy and scandal, and her wealth was tainted by corruption and greed. Amira realized too late that the Djinn's true intention was not to grant wishes, but to wreak havoc on her life and the lives of those around her. As Amira continued to make wishes, the Djinn's twists became more sinister. She wished for love, but the Djinn turned her partner against her. She wished for success, but her achievements were built on the failures of others. The town began to suffer as well, plagued by strange occurrences and unexplained disasters. The people of the town grew fearful, sensing that something was amiss. They whispered about the Djinn, warning each other of its malevolent powers. Amira knew she had to act quickly to stop the Djinn before it was too late. Determined to find a way to imprison the Djinn, Amira delved into ancient texts and sought the advice of local experts in Islamic folklore. She learned that the Djinn could be bound using magical artifacts and rituals, but these methods required great knowledge and power. Amira discovered an ancient text that spoke of a ritual to bind the Djinn, using sacred objects and prayers to weaken its powers. She gathered the necessary items and prepared herself for the ritual, knowing that it would be a perilous task. As Amira performed the ritual, the Djinn unleashed its full fury. It summoned storms and conjured illusions, trying to confuse and intimidate her. But Amira stood firm, using her knowledge of the Djinn's weaknesses to counter its attacks. In the end, Amira succeeded in binding the Djinn, trapping it once more in its ancient prison. The town breathed a collective sigh of relief as the strange occurrences ceased and peace was restored. In the aftermath, Amira realized that the legend of the Djinn was not just a myth. It was a warning. The Djinn's true nature was a reminder of the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human control. Amira's experience had taught her about the importance of respecting tradition and the power of knowledge. The story of the Djinn's revenge became a part of local legend, a cautionary tale about the dangers of ambition and greed. And though the Djinn was trapped once more, its legacy lived on, a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the fear of the unknown. In the end, Amira's journey had taught her that sometimes the most enduring legends are rooted in truth. The Djinn, once a feared entity, had become a symbol of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows, waiting to be unleashed by human ambition. And though the Djinn was imprisoned once more, its legacy would live on, a reminder of the importance of respecting the past and the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human understanding. The Nain Rouge's Curse. In the heart of Detroit, Michigan, where the streets were lined with the remnants of industrial grandeur and the whispers of history echoed through every corner, a sense of unease settled over the community. A series of unexplained accidents had plagued the city, from minor mishaps to major catastrophes. It was as if a shadow had fallen over Detroit, casting a spell of misfortune that seemed to intensify with each passing day. Among the residents, there were whispers of a small, red-skinned creature that had been spotted lurking in the shadows. The creature was known as the Nain Rouge, a legendary figure from Detroit's folklore. According to legend, the Nain Rouge was a harbinger of misfortune, its appearance signaling impending disaster for the city. The Nain Rouge, or Red Dwarf, was a creature of dark legend in Detroit. Its story dated back to the city's founding by Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac in the early 1700s. Cadillac had been warned by a fortune-teller to appease the Nain Rouge, but he chose to ignore the warning, striking the creature with his cane instead. This act of disrespect was said to have cursed Cadillac and the city, leading to a string of misfortunes throughout Detroit's history. The Nain Rouge was often described as a small, red-skinned creature with horns, feared for its ability to predict and possibly cause disasters. It had been spotted before several of Detroit's most tragic events, including the 1805 fire and the 1967 riots. The legend of the Nain Rouge had become a part of Detroit's cultural identity, a cautionary tale about the dangers of disrespecting the city's history and traditions. Historian Dr. Rachel Jenkins and paranormal investigator Mike Davis teamed up to investigate the sightings and understand the Nain Rouge's role in the city's misfortunes. Rachel was fascinated by the historical context of the legend, while Mike was determined to uncover any paranormal evidence. Together, they delved into the history of the Nain Rouge, studying old texts and speaking with local residents who had heard the stories from their grandparents. They discovered that the creature was not just a harbinger of doom, but a symbol of the city's resilience and its ability to face adversity. As they explored the city, they noticed that the Nain Rouge's appearances seemed to coincide with significant events in Detroit's history. It was as if the creature was trying to communicate a message, warning the city of impending dangers. But why had its warnings been misunderstood over time, leading to fear and resentment? Determined to lift the curse, Rachel and Mike decided to appease the Nain Rouge. They organized a ritual, gathering sacred objects and performing prayers to calm the creature's malevolent spirit. The ritual was based on ancient traditions, passed down through generations of Detroiters who had learned to respect the Nain Rouge's power. As they prepared for the ritual, they encountered skepticism from some members of the community. Many saw the Nain Rouge as a mere myth, a relic of a bygone era. But Rachel and Mike were convinced that understanding and respecting the creature's role in Detroit's folklore was key to lifting the curse. The night of the ritual arrived, and Rachel and Mike stood before the city's oldest landmark, the Spirit of Detroit statue. They lit candles, said prayers, and used sacred charms to protect themselves from any negative energies. The air seemed to thicken, and the shadows grew longer as they invoked the Nain Rouge's presence. Suddenly, a figure appeared before them. A small, red-skinned creature with horns, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. it was the Nain Rouge, and it seemed to be watching them with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Rachel and Mike stood their ground, using their knowledge of the Nain Rouge's legend to communicate with it. They offered flattery and respect, acknowledging the creature's role as a guardian of the city's history. The Nain Rouge seemed to consider their words, its demeanor softening as it listened. In a surprising turn of events, the Nain Rouge spoke to them, its voice like a whisper on the wind. It explained that it was not a malevolent entity, but a protector, warning the city of impending dangers. However, its warnings had been misunderstood over time, leading to fear and resentment. Rachel and Mike proposed a truce. They would honor the Nain Rouge's role in Detroit's folklore, ensuring that its legend was respected and understood. In return, the creature would lift its curse, allowing the city to prosper once more. The Nain Rouge agreed, and with a nod, it vanished into the night. The curse was lifted, and Detroit began to flourish. The city's residents felt a sense of relief wash over them, knowing that they had finally found peace with their troubled past. In the aftermath, the legend of the Nain Rouge became more than just a cautionary tale. It was a reminder of the city's resilience and its ability to face adversity. The annual Marche du Nain Rouge continued, but now it was a celebration of the city's heritage, rather than a ritual to banish the creature. Rachel and Mike's actions had not only lifted the curse, but had also reminded the community of the importance of respecting their cultural roots. The Nain Rouge, once a feared entity, had become a symbol of Detroit's strength and its connection to its history. As Rachel and Mike looked back on their journey, they realized that the legend of the Nain Rouge was not just a story, but a part of Detroit's identity. It was a reminder of the city's complex history and its ability to overcome even the most daunting challenges. The experience had also taught them about the power of understanding and respect. By acknowledging the Nain Rouge's role in their folklore, they had been able to lift the curse and bring peace to the city. Years passed, and Detroit continued to thrive. The legend of the Nain Rouge remained a part of local folklore, a reminder of the city's resilience and its connection to its past. Rachel and Mike's story became a part of Detroit's history, a testament to the power of collaboration and respect in overcoming even the most enduring of curses. As the city looked to the future, it did so with a newfound appreciation for its heritage. The Nain Rouge, once a harbinger of doom, had become a symbol of Detroit's strength and its ability to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the end, the Nain Rouge's curse had been lifted, but its legacy lived on, a reminder of the importance of respecting tradition and the power of community. And though the creature was no longer feared, its presence continued to be felt, a symbol of Detroit's resilience and its connection to its history. The Siren's Lament. In the remote coastal village of Ravenswood, Maine, the sea had always been a source of livelihood and mystery. For generations, fishermen had braved its unpredictable waves, but recently, a sense of unease had settled over the community. Fishermen had begun to disappear at sea, leaving behind only their empty boats and unanswered questions. Dr. Sophia Ellis, a renowned marine biologist, was drawn to Ravenswood by the enigmatic disappearances. Her expertise in marine acoustics made her the perfect candidate to investigate the strange occurrences. Sophia had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the ocean, and this case seemed like the ultimate challenge. Upon her arrival, Sophia was greeted by the village's somber atmosphere. The locals were tight-lipped about the disappearances, but their fear was palpable. They spoke of old legends and sea monsters, but Sophia was skeptical. She believed there had to be a scientific explanation for the vanishings. Sophia began her investigation by deploying underwater recording devices to capture any unusual sounds. Days passed, and the devices collected a wealth of data, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary until Sophia reviewed the recordings herself. Amidst the usual oceanic sounds, whales, dolphins, and the hum of the sea, she detected something peculiar. It was a haunting melody, ethereal and beautiful, yet unsettling. The song seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, echoing through the water like a lament. Intrigued, Sophia delved deeper into the recordings. She isolated the melody and began to analyze it. The song was unlike anything she had ever heard before. It seemed to have a hypnotic quality, drawing her in with each listen. As she worked, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that something beneath the waves was aware of her presence. As Sophia continued her research, she stumbled upon an old local legend about sirens. According to the myth, sirens were creatures from ancient Greek mythology, known for luring sailors to their doom with enchanting songs. The villagers believed that these sirens had somehow returned, haunting the waters off Ravenswood. Sophia was skeptical, but the more she listened to the recordings, the more she felt an inexplicable connection to the myth. She began to read about the sirens, their origins, and their role in ancient Greek folklore. The sirens were said to be half woman, half bird, and their songs were irresistible, capable of bewitching even the strongest wills. As Sophia delved deeper into her research, she found herself becoming increasingly entranced by the haunting melodies. She would listen to the recordings for hours, feeling an intense longing to follow the sound to its source. It was as if the sirens were calling to her, drawing her into the depths of the ocean. One night, Sophia decided to take a boat out to sea, determined to find the source of the song. The villagers warned her, telling tales of sailors who had never returned after hearing the sirens' call. But Sophia was driven by a mix of curiosity and scientific inquiry. As she sailed further from the shore, the melody grew louder, more alluring. Sophia felt herself being pulled towards it, her senses clouded by the beauty of the song. She knew she had to resist, to keep her focus on uncovering the truth behind the disappearances. Sophia anchored her boat and dove into the water, determined to find the source of the song. The melody enveloped her, a cacophony of sound that seemed to come from all directions. As she swam deeper, she saw them, figures in the distance, their forms indistinct but their voices unmistakable. They were not the mythical creatures of legend, but something far more complex. Sophia realized that the sirens were not luring sailors to their doom, they were warning them away. The song was a natural phenomenon, created by a unique combination of marine life and oceanic conditions. It was a call to avoid the dangers that lurked beneath the waves, dangers that had been claiming the lives of the fishermen. As Sophia swam back to her boat, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had uncovered the truth, but she also knew that she had to share it with the world. The villagers needed to understand that the sea was not a monster, but a guardian, warning them of its dangers through the haunting melodies. Sophia returned to Ravenswood, armed with her findings. She presented her research to the villagers, explaining the scientific basis behind the siren's song. At first, they were skeptical, but as Sophia shared her recordings and her experiences, they began to understand. The villagers realized that the disappearances were not the work of mythical creatures, but of the sea itself. They had been ignoring its warnings, venturing into waters that were treacherous and unpredictable. Sophia's discovery brought a sense of peace to the community, a newfound respect for the ocean and its mysteries. As Sophia prepared to leave Ravenswood, she felt a sense of accomplishment. She had uncovered the truth behind the siren's lament, but she also knew that she would never forget the haunting melodies that had drawn her into the depths of the ocean. The siren's song had become a part of her, a reminder of the mysteries that lay beneath the waves, waiting to be discovered. In the end, Sophia's journey had taught her that sometimes the most enduring legends are rooted in truth, and that the sea, with all its mysteries, remains one of humanity's greatest unsolved puzzles. The siren's lament continued to echo through the waters, a reminder of the dangers and wonders that lay beneath the surface, waiting for those brave enough to listen. The Whispering Wendigo. Deep within the frozen woods of northern Minnesota, where the snow-covered trees stood like skeletal sentinels and the wind howled like a chorus of restless spirits, a group of friends gathered around a crackling campfire. The flames danced and spat, casting eerie shadows on the surrounding trees as the group laughed and joked, their breath visible in the cold night air. They had all been warned about the dangers of these woods, especially during winter, but they had dismissed the local tales as mere superstition. The legend of the Wendigo, a creature from Algonquian folklore known for its insatiable hunger and ability to mimic human voices, was nothing more than a myth to them. The group consisted of 5 friends: Alex, the charismatic leader; Emily, a botanist fascinated by the unique flora of the region; Jake, a photographer capturing the beauty of the winter landscape; Rachel, a historian interested in the local folklore; and Matt, an outdoorsman who had organized the trip. They had all been friends since college and had embarked on numerous adventures together. But this trip was different. This time, they were venturing into the heart of the Minnesota wilderness, a place where the harsh conditions and isolation could test even the strongest bonds of friendship. As night began to fall, the group settled in, their tents pitched around the fire. Rachel pulled out a book and began to read aloud from it, telling the story of the Wendigo. According to legend, the Wendigo was a malevolent spirit that could possess individuals, transforming them into monstrous creatures with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. It was said that the Wendigo could mimic the voices of loved ones, luring victims into the woods with false promises of safety and warmth. The others listened intently, their faces illuminated only by the flickering flames. Despite the chill in the air, they felt a sense of comfort and security in each other's company. But as Rachel finished her story, a sudden silence fell over the group. It was as if the forest itself was listening, waiting for them to make their next move. As they settled in for the night, the group heard nothing but the wind and the occasional hooting of an owl. They joked about the Wendigo, teasing each other about who would be the first to hear its call. But as they drifted off to sleep, the forest seemed to grow quieter, the darkness pressing in around them like a physical presence. It was Emily who heard it first, a faint whisper, barely audible over the wind. At first, she thought it was just the trees creaking, but then she heard her name. "Emily, help me." The voice was soft and familiar, sounding eerily like her sister's. Emily's heart raced as she sat up in her tent, her eyes scanning the darkness outside. "Guys, did you hear that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The others stirred, confused and disoriented. "Hear what?" Alex asked, rubbing his eyes. But before Emily could explain, they all heard it. A chorus of whispers, each voice calling out to them by name. "Alex, come here." "Jake, I need you." "Rachel, help me." The voices were unmistakable, sounding like their friends and family back home. Despite their initial skepticism, the group couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. The voices seemed so real, so urgent. Matt, ever the pragmatist, suggested they investigate, reasoning that it could be someone in distress. The others agreed, though Rachel warned them about the legend of the Wendigo. As they ventured into the forest, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They followed the voices, their flashlights casting eerie beams through the trees. The snow crunched beneath their feet, and the cold air stung their faces, but they pressed on, driven by a mix of curiosity and concern. It was then that they stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood an old, gnarled tree, its branches twisted and dead. The whispers seemed to emanate from it, but as they approached, the voices stopped. An unsettling silence fell over the clearing, and the group felt a presence watching them, waiting for them to make their next move. As they stood there, frozen in uncertainty, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was tall and gaunt, its skin gray and decaying, with eyes that glowed like embers in the dark. The group recognized the creature from Rachel's stories. It was a Wendigo. The creature began to speak, its voice a low, rasping whisper. "You should not have come here," it said, its words barely audible over the wind. "Now, you will never leave." As the group watched in horror, the Wendigo began to change. Its body began to stretch and contort, its limbs elongating like twisted branches, its face elongated into a grotesque parody of human features, with sharp teeth and sunken eyes. The group tried to run, but their feet felt heavy, as if rooted to the spot. The Wendigo began to mimic their voices, calling out to them in a cacophony of familiar sounds. It was then that they realized the true horror of the Wendigo's power. It could not only mimic voices, but also manipulate their deepest fears and desires. As the night wore on, the group found themselves torn apart by their own paranoia and fear. They began to suspect each other of being possessed by the Wendigo, their minds clouded by the creature's insidious whispers. Matt accused Emily of being the first to succumb, citing her initial hesitation to investigate the voices. Emily retaliated, suggesting that Matt's skepticism was a sign of the Wendigo's influence. The arguments escalated, with each member of the group turning against the others. Rachel, who had always been fascinated by the legend, found herself drawn to the Wendigo. She began to see it as a symbol of the darkness within themselves, a manifestation of their deepest fears and desires. As she watched the creature, she felt an unsettling sense of connection, as if she understood its hunger and its loneliness. In the end, it was Rachel who approached the Wendigo, her eyes locked on its glowing embers. The creature spoke to her in a voice that was both familiar and yet utterly alien, tempting her with promises of power and knowledge. Rachel felt herself being pulled towards the Wendigo, her mind clouded by its whispers. But as she reached out to touch it, she remembered the stories of her ancestors, the warnings about the dangers of greed and excess. With a surge of adrenaline, Rachel turned away from the Wendigo, her eyes clearing as she realized the truth. The creature was not just a monster, it was a reflection of their own darker selves. It was a reminder of the dangers of isolation and the importance of community. As she turned back to her friends, Rachel saw that they were all staring at her, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and suspicion. But she knew that she had to save them, to lead them out of the forest before it was too late. Together, they made a final stand against the Wendigo, using their combined strength to fend off its attacks. The creature was relentless, its powers fueled by their fear and paranoia. But Rachel's understanding of its nature gave them an edge, allowing them to outmaneuver it and escape the forest. As they emerged into the bright sunlight, they felt a sense of relief wash over them. They had faced their deepest fears and come out victorious. But as they looked back at the forest, they knew that the Wendigo was still out there. Waiting for its next victim, the group made their way back to civilization, forever changed by their encounter with the Whispering Wendigo. They realized that some legends were better left unexplored, and that the true horror often lay not in the monsters themselves, but in the darkness that lurked within their own hearts. In the end, only Rachel returned to those woods, driven by a newfound respect for the legend and a desire to understand the deeper significance of the Wendigo stories. She found that the forest was quiet once more, the whispers silenced. But as she stood there, surrounded by the skeletal trees, she felt a presence watching her, a reminder that the Wendigo was always waiting, its whispers echoing through the forest, tempting the brave and the curious into its deadly trap. The Yara-ma-yha-who's game. In the vast expanse of the Australian outback near Sydney, a sense of adventure and exploration drew tourists from all over the world. The rugged landscape, with its red earth and spinifex grass, was both beautiful and unforgiving. However, a series of mysterious disappearances began to unsettle the community. Tourists who had ventured into the wilderness were vanishing without a trace, leaving behind only their abandoned vehicles and unanswered questions. Among the local Aboriginal community, there was a growing suspicion that the Yara-ma-yha-who, a vampire-like creature from indigenous folklore, was responsible for the disappearances. The Yara-ma-yha-who was said to prey on unsuspecting travelers, using its suckers to drain their blood before swallowing them whole. According to legend, if a victim was attacked multiple times, they would eventually become a Yara-ma-yha-who themselves, forever trapped in a cycle of bloodlust and terror. In southeastern Australian Aboriginal mythology, the Yara-ma-yha-who was described as a small, red-skinned creature with a large head and mouth, but no teeth. It lived in fig trees, waiting for travelers to rest beneath its branches. The creature would then drop down, using its suckers to drain the victim's blood. After swallowing the person whole, it would drink some water and take a nap. Upon waking, it would regurgitate the victim, who would emerge shorter and with a reddish tint to their skin. The Yara-ma-yha-who was not just a monster. It was a part of the cultural fabric of the Aboriginal community. Its legend served as a cautionary tale, warning children of the dangers of straying too far from home. However, as the disappearances continued, it became clear that the Yara-ma-yha-who was more than just a myth. Jira, an experienced Aboriginal tracker, was tasked with investigating the disappearances. Jira had grown up listening to stories of the Yara-ma-yha-who and knew that traditional knowledge was key to understanding the creature's habits and weaknesses. Using his skills as a tracker, Jira followed the faint signs left behind by the missing tourists. He studied the land, reading the subtle clues that only an experienced tracker could see. As he delved deeper into the wilderness, Jira became increasingly convinced that the Yara-ma-yha-who was indeed responsible for the vanishings. Jira's journey took him through the harsh yet beautiful landscape of the outback. He navigated through dense bushlands and crossed dry riverbeds, always keeping a keen eye out for any sign of the creature. The sun beat down relentlessly, and the silence was only broken by the occasional call of a bird or the rustle of leaves. Jira prepared himself for a confrontation with the creature, gathering sacred plants and charms that would protect him from its powers. He knew that the Yara-ma-yha-who was most active during the day, so he planned his hunt accordingly. As Jira approached the fig trees where the creature was said to reside, he felt a sense of trepidation. The air was thick with an eerie silence, and the trees seemed to loom over him like sentinels. Suddenly, a figure dropped from above, its suckers extended as it prepared to attack. Jira stood his ground, using his knowledge of the land and the creature's weaknesses to defend himself. He employed traditional techniques passed down through generations of Aboriginal trackers, combining them with modern tactics to outmaneuver the Yara-ma-yha-who. The battle between Jira and the creature was intense. The Yara-ma-yha-who was cunning and powerful, but Jira's understanding of its habits and his connection to the land gave him an edge. As the sun began to set, Jira managed to subdue the creature, using sacred rituals to bind its powers and prevent further attacks. As Jira confronted the Yara-ma-yha-who, he realized that the creature was not just a mindless beast, it was a part of their cultural heritage. The Yara-ma-yha-who was a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows, a symbol of the unknown forces that could be both terrifying and fascinating. Jira's actions were not just about defeating a monster. They were about respecting the traditions of his ancestors and protecting his community. He knew that the Yara-ma-yha-who would always be a part of their folklore, a cautionary tale about the dangers of meddling with forces beyond human understanding. In the aftermath, the legend of the Yara-ma-yha-who became more than just a cautionary tale. It was a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows. The community came together, ensuring that the stories of their ancestors would never be forgotten. Jira's actions had not only saved his community, but had also highlighted the importance of traditional knowledge in understanding and confronting the unknown. The Yara-ma-yha-who, once a feared entity, had become a symbol of the community's resilience and their connection to their cultural roots. As Jira looked back on the events that had transpired, he realized that the legend of the Yara-ma-yha-who was not just a story, but a part of their cultural identity. It was a reminder of the importance of tradition and community, values that had been passed down through generations. The experience had also taught Jira about the power of combining traditional knowledge with modern techniques. He had faced his fears and saved his people, proving that even the most terrifying of foes could be defeated with courage and wisdom. Years passed, and Jira became a respected figure in his community, known for his bravery and wisdom. He continued to share his knowledge of the Yara-ma-yha-who, ensuring that the story would never be forgotten. The legend of the creature remained a part of local folklore, a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows and the importance of respecting the past. As Jira grew older, he passed on his knowledge to the younger generations, teaching them about the Yara-ma-yha-who and the importance of respecting their cultural heritage. The story of the creature became a part of their identity, a reminder of their connection to the land and their ancestors. The community came together to preserve their cultural heritage, ensuring that the stories of their ancestors would never be lost. They built a cultural center where they could share their traditions and legends with the world. The Yara-ma-yha-who became a symbol of their resilience, a reminder of the challenges they had faced and overcome. As tourists continued to visit the outback, they were told the story of the Yara-ma-yha-who, a cautionary tale about the dangers of the wilderness and the importance of respecting the land and its inhabitants. The legend lived on, a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the fear of the unknown. In the end, Jira's journey had taught him that sometimes the most enduring legends are rooted in truth. The Yara-ma-yha-who, once a feared entity, had become a symbol of the community's resilience and their connection to their cultural heritage. And though the creature was trapped once more, its legacy lived on, a testament to the power of tradition and community.
Thanks for joining us in the shadows tonight. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories every week. Have you got a story of your own? Share it in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And remember, the darkness holds many secrets. Are you brave enough to uncover them? Until next time, keep your lights on and your doors locked. Sweet nightmares.